Welcome to the Man of Truth, aka the Villain of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria. How are we all doing today? My fan is a little bit close to me. How are we doing today? In today's conversation, we are discussing on how knowledge builds home. On today's subject, we are discussing about how knowledge builds home. And that's what today's conversation boils down around. Promise! Somebody's at the gate. Oh. So I await those who are going to be joining me live today. I hope I'm sounding fine. Uh, okay. Probably my mic is okay. So today we are going to be talking about how knowledge builds a home. How knowledge builds a home. What's going on? Why is my network not connecting with this other one? Mama! Mama! Your connection to you, I think you connect to my this thing, to my own Wi-Fi. Connect your phone back to your Wi-Fi. Okay. So we are going to be discussing how knowledge builds home. Initially today, my intention was to talk about Cardi B, talk about relationship, looking at it from the point of Cardi B stuff, what's actually going on in the Western culture when it comes to Cardi B and the rest of it. But I later decided to change my viewpoint and discuss more on things that are going on, because for me as a person, I hate discussing much about celebrities. I absolutely don't like talking much about celebrities because it's like putting them on the pedestal and making them feel like they are the most important individuals in the society. And when you talk much about celebrity, it's like it takes you not to see the reality of what's actually happening in the world, but you are looking at it through the lens of certain minor individuals in the society who are being too glorified. That's why I basically love to talk about the basic things that are happening in life. So the subject today is how do knowledge build a home? Thank you. Please, if you're just joining, for the person who shows like, I appreciate you. If you're just joining, please like. So, okay, how knowledge. I'm sorry, I wasn't, when I started today's conversation, I was not planning like I will be coming exactly this particular time. My intention was to come a little bit earlier, but a few minutes before I came on live, I was being called upon in the community. There's a community issue, and so they had to call on me to come help look into the situation. But by God's grace, things are going fine. We want to talk about marriage. Specifically today, we are going to be looking into marriage. We are going to be looking into knowledge, first of all, and then we will dissect and go into marriage. The reason is basically because you cannot talk about marriage without talking about knowledge, because Any marriage that does not have knowledge in it or wisdom in it is a cannot be achieved. I repeat, any marriage that has no knowledge in it cannot be successful or cannot be achieved in today's world, even in the past. So, when it comes to marriage, you have to ask yourself, what knowledge do you have about life that gives you the mindset or that gives you a belief that you are going to be successful in marriage? And that is the problem we have in today's society. Please, if my audio is okay, let me know. If my audio is bad, please let me know. If my knowledge, if my audio or my mic is okay, please let me know. Somebody can indicate if it is not, so I can make a little bit of adjustment. But like I am saying, you can't speak about marriage and you avoid talking about knowledge, because marriage can only exist or can only work where there is knowledge, where there is understanding, and where there is wisdom. I repeat, the only thing that makes marriage flourish is when there is wisdom, there is knowledge, and there is understanding. Before we proceed into it, I would like to look at certain things from the scriptural angle. Trust me. And when I decide to look at things from scriptural angle, it is basically for the religious, to let the religious people also understand certain things that they might not see from their own side. And there's a lot of wisdom as far as the scripture is concerned. It is the practices of religion that makes it nothing good to write home about. Religion itself was a very important thing in the life of human, just like the cultures and the traditions that talks about the history of the people and how they've been able to unify themselves. You see, when you downplay the idea of religion, you most likely might not understand a lot of things about life. When you downplay culture, you most likely do not understand a lot of things in life. When you downplay traditions, you most likely did not understand a lot of things in life. And then you are flowing from the spirit of ignorance. For you to be knowledgeable, so you can flourish in life, there are certain important things you need to study. Let us look into the Bible and speak from the Bible's perspective. And the purpose why we have to speak from the Bible's perspective is basically because we are talking about marriage. And basically because we are talking about marriage, marriage cannot exist without someone who has knowledge. The problem of today's society is that a lot of people are getting married without having knowledge, without having understanding. They are informed. Information and education does not guarantee that you have knowledge about marriage. No wonder anything that happens to be marriage today, a lot of people, rather than them to go and meet counselors, and when I talk about counselors, I'm talking about people who actually have experience of marriage, who have been there, who have been successful in marriage. Most people go to therapy. Several marriage that has gone to therapy has never succeed. And I believe most Western people will say, oh, probably he's ignorant. He don't know what he's saying. Do you know how important therapy is? Many relationship or marriage that undergoes therapy does not succeed. Because therapy is talking about the individual, therapy is not talking about collective. And then it seems as if the therapist is healing you guys, and you guys start looking at yourself strange. But what you begin to discover is there is no originality in the relationship. You are like, oh, my husband is acting this way, this is his normal character, I know him to be this. But because of we have undergo therapy, and therapy say that when she's speaking you have to listen. Normally the individual does not listen, but because therapy says, oh, what a love language is listen, not listen, work out, not work out, and all those kind of things, both of you now become pretender in the relationship. And then when the movie becomes boring and you get tired of the relationship, because you know both of you are not showing your real self in the relationship, you are showing your therapeutic system, then you get tired and divorce. Walam. The only good thing about therapy is that both of you would separate yourself in with respect and honor. Relationship that are being destroyed with therapy, they separate with respect and honor. But therapist does not fix marriages. And I'm not saying totally it does not, I'm saying most likely it wouldn't. So don't think I'm completely ignorant. I know it has its uses, but it is basically for the individual. When both couple begin to go for therapeutic section, they begin to see more fault. You know why? Because therapy make both people sit down and they look at each other, and they begin to see all the kinds of problem in the discussion they are having. They begin to see, oh, our problem is not even this level we are talking about. It spring up from this, it spring up from this, it spring up from this, and then it channels your viewpoint towards a lot of negativity that has happened in the past. Now for you to look forward, it becomes a difficult problem. Then the therapist is actually making it a business for themselves, because I want to solve your problem, you gotta pay me some money. But in the past, marriage works. Why? Because the people who are putting you guys together are people who they say they are counselors. Counselors are not just people who are giving counsel, but those who have had experience of the conversation you guys are having. According to the Bible, one of the things that affect a lot of people in life is basically because they lack knowledge. And before I proceed, let me read Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. What is the fear of the Lord? And the reality is this: in today's age, can we truly fear the Lord? Who is that calling me? In today's world, can we truly fear the Lord? It is difficult to fear God when you don't understand God. Yeah, sometimes when I move around, I just hear people start blabbing. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning. I ask you, what is the fear of the Lord? Can you fear what you can't see? Can you fear what you don't understand? How can you fear the Lord? It is for you to actually understand that the Lord actually exists. The only way you can have the fear of God is to be sure that God exists. How do you know God exists? You have to understand that God is the principle that exists between mankind. God is the principle between man and life, or between man and nature. If you jump from 3-story building and you come down, your leg would break. And because your leg will be broken, the principle of gravity would put fear inside of you. That principle should not be broken. Just because you know that there is parachutes, you might use parachutes to move, and if perhaps you want to jump from up to down, you have to be sure that the parachute is working. If the parachute is not working and you just go and jump, the principle of jumping from 10-story building and falling on the floor will catch up with you. So the fear of the Lord is the principle between mankind's success, or man's flourishing, or man's peace, or man's whatever you want to call it. For man to be able to flourish, and for man to be able to flourish with nature, there is a principle that connects us. Every single time we try to separate ourselves from the principle between us and nature, we suffer the consequences. One of the principles that make us breathe as human is that there are trees that were existing before us that gives us some kind of good oxygen. But a lot of us, because we do not understand the principle of life, we cut off all the old trees in a sense of thinking that we are more important than every other thing. Delusion puts us in the situation we find ourselves. Now, when you want to fear the Lord, you need to understand that there is a principle that is actually existing. And in that principle, there are two types of parts in life. There is the dynamic part of life and there is a static part of life. I repeat, in life, there's a dynamic side of life and there's a static side of life. What do I mean by that? There are places in life, or there are principles in life that you can change, and there are principles in life that you can never change. For man and a woman to be together, there is a principle that makes their union flourish. If you change the principle that can bring man and woman together to be able to flourish, if you break that principle, you will have issue, money problem. You would have problem. That's what I said in Yoruba language. But in today's world, a lot of people just come together and they say, I love this person. Love is the only important thing. And for us to get married, we need to just love each other. If there is love, everything will work. How far? All the people you met in your life, didn't you love them? How far did love take you in your relationship? How many relationships have you broken out from simply just with the principle of love? Do you think love is how people have been surviving since the beginning of time? Love plays a role, but love has a strength and love has its weaknesses. Everything that God has, or every principle that exists, or every emotion has their strength and they have their weaknesses. You need to understand the principles that work. A marriage without people who have knowledge of what marriage is, they always go in and they regret at the end of the day. No wonder currently everybody are talking about Cardi B and Offset. Cardi B and Offset. Cardi B, she is a very street girl. Offset is a very street guy. And then Offset decide to keep cheating every single time because he has no honor. celebrity choose each other, they want to have long lasting relationship. It is basically because both of them are on the limelight. Failure plus failure, what is the equation? It should be failure. Now you guys are using fame to determine marriage, and then why he kept cheating, and she would say, I will divorce you, I will separate from you, and they have 3 kids. To the extent they have been so dramatic, and we don't even know when they are saying the truth from the lies. But now we're in a situation where we can see that Cardi B is making a decision. Well, she came on live and she said some kind of stuff, and Offset wrote the stuff, and then they discovered, he said he found out that Cardi B cheated during the time she was pregnant. What a mother. What a mother. I'm a bad B. When people take ego into their relationship without having the knowledge of marriage, or without having the knowledge of good relationship, because there's what we call bad relationship, there's what we call toxic relationship, and there's what we call good relationship. When you do not understand the principle of good relationship, ohun burúkú máa ma já wọn burúkú, ohun burúkú máa ma já wọn ohun burúkú, ẹyẹ ò ní ké bí ẹyẹ, adìyẹ ò ní ké bí adìyẹ, ọmọ ènìyàn ò ní fọhùn bí ọmọ ènìyàn. You know the meaning of what I just said? I said when you do things that are against the gods or of the principle of certain things, life would not work like life. In the Yoruba culture, they will say eku ò ní ké bí eku. That means rats will not even act like rats, cats will not act like cats, human will not voice like human. Are you not seeing all these things when you see that certain people, what do they call his name, Matt Walsh, which is having some kind of things where humans would tell themselves that I am a wolf, I am a wolf. Some of them will say I'm a dog. When people begin to break the principle, that's what happens. So in a nutshell, they did not have knowledge, and the fact for you to be able to cheat on your husband when you are pregnant, and then you cheated on your husband simply because you are trying to show him that you have a gain. What you are doing is that you are destroying not just you and the man's relationship, but you are destroying the relationship between you and the child. Imagine a child come to life and heard that my mother was married to my father but cheated on my father because my father cheated on him when I was pregnant. So that means another man hit something on my head when I was in my mother's womb. Which child wants to come out and will not be traumatized? Do you imagine? My mother says my real father, my biological father, was the one who impregnated her, and then another man. For me to hear that story, it will mess with my system for the rest of my life. She has traumatized the child. Why? Because she does not know what it is to be a mother. She does not understand the principle of being a mother. There is no knowledge. For you to be knowledgeable in life, you have to understand the principle of certain things that makes things work. Not just information, knowledge. Knowing the principle. Information, you can have information, but you don't know the importance of the information. It is just information until knowledge is applied. And too many people today, in the name of I have my BSc, PhD, HIV, STD, they have used those qualifications to go into relationship. And when they go into relationship, they fail, thinking that just because they can speak too much grammar, it is going to help them. And at the end of the day, they fail. Lack of knowledge. There's a particular thing the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 2 verse 1 to 2. Proverbs chapter 2 verse 1 to 2, it says that, my son, if you accept my words and store my commands within you, turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding. I repeat, my son, if you accept my words and store my commands with you. What is the word that the individual is talking about? I'm going to explain it. Turning your ear to wisdom. Verse 2. Turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding. It simply means our ear is like an antenna that can decide the signal it needs, the kind of frequency it wants. If you are not using your ear carefully to gather knowledge, you will gather garbage with your ears. And what you hear would, I've always heard of a word where they say, do not underestimate the power of influence. And I've told people this over and over again. You don't necessarily have to like a music to sing the music. All that needs to happen is for the music to consistently be repeated in your ear, and your mind will pick it up and your mind will sing the song for you. You do not need to have a psychology degree to know that it is true. But that's true. You don't necessarily have to like a music for you to sing the song. Why? If a song is being repeated in your ear, your subconscious begins to record it even while you are not so much listening to it, but because your ear could pick the information, your mind picks it and then your mind sings the song. So for you to be wise, you have to seek for the words that have wisdom in them. Some people waste a lot of time in their life. In a day, they cannot even learn something new. In a day, they cannot listen to things that make sense. In a day, they cannot pay attention to something that is going to change their perception or let them see things from a different perception, even regardless of, maybe I did not accept it, but I can look into it and have a little bit of understanding of what's going on here. And when you are not seeking for knowledge and saying, I deliberately want to know things, you can't know anything. And then you find yourself in situations that you can't really explain. And in most of the situations, you begin to blame other people for your life. I always say this. There's suffering in life. But suffering happens to humans and it comes in only two ways. The suffering every human goes through comes in only two ways. One of it tends to be tragedy of life. And the second one is the choice that we make. One more time. Suffering of humans comes in two ways. One of it tends to be the tragedy of life, and the second one is the choice to suffer. We make the choice to suffer. And then you want to ask the question, how do I make the choice to suffer? Either you make the suffering choice through ignorance, or you make the suffering choice by participating in what would make you suffer. A lot of people are the ones that make themselves suffer every single day, but only what they try to do is to find the blame on another person. Akon said it best. You can put the blame on me. So let's look at Psalm 19 verse 2. Proverbs 2 verse 1 and 2. Let me just talk about the 2. When it says turn your ear to wisdom and apply your heart to understanding, it's actually telling you to pay attention to things that actually has wisdom or substance. A lot of people listen to things that does not have substance in them. And when you are paying attention to things that does not have substance, you are wasting your life. And the step you are about to take in your life, why are you taking those steps? Do you understand the principle and the guidance and the knowledge that is behind the step you are about to take? If you don't, you are going to suffer the consequence. Every single time humans go into any avenue of life and they do not have experience or knowledge about those particular avenue, they are born or they are meant to suffer in that avenue, or perhaps they are meant to fail. One of the things I've learned about marriage, you see, people say certain things about marriage, and one of the things people will talk about, they will talk about effective communication. In marriages, you will hear the word effective communication. Now, simply because certain people do not have the understanding of what is effective communication, a lot of people think that effective communication means we should be able to talk about anything in the relationship. That is not effective communication. Just because you and your husband, or you and your spouse, or you and your wife, both of you talk every single time, it doesn't mean it is effective communication. Effective communication simply means I understand your language. I understand how you speak, even without you opening your mouth. If my wife begin to act in certain ways, I already understand what she wants. I am paying attention to her. That is effective. When you pay attention to someone, because not everybody will be good at speaking. Not everybody will be good at expressing themselves. Not everybody likes English language and start narrating story like a journalist in relationship. You can't keep talking in relationship, talking. There was someone that at some point, certain individuals like, oh, I love it, effective communication, and they started trying to have effective communication with me. Oh, blood of God, we are talking for 9 hours. Nine. Keep talking. My head fry. I'm like, that's not effective communication. Like, oh, if this is what you call effective communication, you might not find anyone on the surface of this earth. Because effective communication is paying attention to the person, your spouse, whoever you choose is your spouse. Understand how they talk. If my wife prepares some very delicious food and I just eat the food and I'll say, I don't know what to say about this food, and stuff like that, she knows I am appreciating her. My wife understands when I am appreciating her. Most people do not. They want him to say, oh, Western culture have done a lot of good things, and it has done some kind of things that are just like, wow. Like, when I want to show, my wife understand my roses when I'm showing her roses. And the roses is like, I ask her, what's your problem, or what are you thinking, or what is the issue in your life? I know you want money. I know you want me to help you do something. Okay, can I give you something so you can do this particular thing? Because everything I am building around her is to make sure that her life is easy. Whenever I'm participating in that, that is roses. But some people in relationship, everybody begin to buy flower, and once you come to the door, you want to have time with your spouse, you will pour red berry on the bed, and you think that is love. Or you go and buy grasses or flowers, you pour perfume on it, and then you give it to your wife, and you say, oh, I love these roses. No wonder divorce everywhere, divorce galore, because people do not understand the main thing, the knowledge, the understanding of both individuals that are in the relationship. They are only paying attention to the glamorous expectations of the society. So let's move to the next one. Psalm 19 verse 2, it says that day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge. What does it mean? The day after day they pour forth speech is basically like you pay attention to the things that are going on what people are saying. Night after night they reveal knowledge. That simply means night after night you have to be in a situation of your life to think, at least even if it's for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 1 hour or 15 minutes or 30 minutes. You have to have a time to reflect on your life every day. When you find yourself in a relationship, you commit yourself and you say, I would be here to make it work. It's not how can I make this work? And that is the problem some people have in marriage. When they are in marriage, they'll be saying, how can I make it work? How can I make it work is a question that tells you that I might not be able to make it work. Yes, you are trying to find a skill. It says, I am here to make it work. We would be here to make it work. When you say, how can I make it work? It is a question. And just because you're asking yourself question, you can get exhausted by such a question like how the next day, how another day. No, I am here to make it work because I am dedicated to the marriage itself. Every pattern I can learn to make it work, I am dedicated to whatever will be making my relationship work. Dedication is not a question. Dedication is a submission. But a man and a woman needs to be submitted to the concept of their marriage. Not asking, how can I make it work? How can I make it work? No. You are trying to look for skills or things that you can do. And after you do certain things, you get exhausted because you see that, relationship, feeding a relationship is like our stomach. No matter how you eat, it begins to request more things. But you have to be dedicated to the idea that I am here to make it work. It is just like it is a sacrifice of me. This is what I am dedicating my life to. Marriage is what you dedicate your life to. If you did not dedicate your life to it, and everybody's saying, I want to know my this, I want to know my that, sorry. Ego everywhere. So for you to be able to proceed in life, you need to understand that knowledge is the only thing that makes marriage work. And if knowledge is what makes it work, you have to listen to the things that can make it work. And then you have to also pay attention to the knowledge. There should be time in your life that you have to reflect. And the problem is this: that time is supposed to be every single day. The problem about humans today is we don't reflect on our life until when we are in a bad situation. Just like Diddy. Just like okay, the next one says the heart of the discerning, that's Proverbs 18 verse 15. It says the heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, the years of the wise seek it out. Let me move to the next one. And I would still summarize all these things. Let me just touch on one particular aspect and then we are done for today. In Proverbs chapter 24 verse 3 to 4, it says, by wisdom a house is built, by understanding it is established. By wisdom, Proverbs chapter 24 verse 3 to 4, it says, by wisdom a house is built, by understanding it is established. Which, what does it actually mean? What it means is that when you go into a relationship, both of you needs to be wise enough to design how you want the relationship to be. And this is the reason why I always tell people that for you to be able to have long lasting marriage, the first thing you have to pay attention to is vision. Both of you have to have a vision. Maybe the vision will be the man's vision, because women love to follow. Forget all this life of I am an independent thinker. Yes, you might be an independent thinker, but you also, your nature loves to follow. Some people, their ego is what is stopping them from their natural self to flourish in life. And when your natural self is not coming forth in life, you're going to have issues. One thing I can say for sure is this: I know marriage is not set for everybody. When I talk about marriage, do not get me wrong, marriage is not for everybody. Marriage are for those who have vision. Marriage are for those who both have wisdom to build a house and have understanding to live in it. And so Proverbs 24 says, verse 3 and 4 says, by wisdom a house is built, by understanding it is established. When you see both people come together and they say they want to establish a marriage, and they both lack wisdom and they lack knowledge and they lack understanding, they do not understand the meaning of effective communication, and they think that because my husband did not pick my call, or because my wife did not pick my call, you haven't understand how they think as people. My wife knows me that I do not like every single time you keep calling me and calling me and calling me. I am not a calling type. And when she calls, she just send me text message and she says, hope you're fine. Don't stay late at night. Are you on your way coming back? She just want to know if I'm fine. But in some marriages, both of you, if both of you, your love language is about communicating every single time, yes, you can proceed on those level. But that's not our language, and she understands that language. And because she understands me as that language, I understand my wife without she saying anything. And marriage only works when both people are dedicated to the process of the marriage, by learning every single thing to make sure that the marriage keeps. You see, every other thing people are talking about excuses, and they are saying money is one of the criteria why people are not getting married. I was studying some things about the Western culture and the blacks, why their marriage is not working. Chat GPT and some kind of things that people are saying is just nonsense. Some things they are saying is money is the greatest factor why marriages are not working. Do you know certain life certain people have lived before? If money is the criteria to not let marriage work, then that means our parents, how rich were they? Just ask yourself, it's just a simple thing. How rich were our parents? And you say, oh, it's because our parents did not have option. What make you think they don't have option? What make you think, oh, they cannot rebel? And then you ask yourself another question: didn't some of them still act funny during those time? Some of our parents did not get married, and the reason why they did not get married and they are unable to stick with their man or to stick with their wife or whatever, they could do it then, but they decide to still stay together. It is not money that is the factor. You use it as a contributing factor. Yes, I understand that when there's stress, people can get tired. People can get tired when they are not dedicated to the cause. Tiredness only plays a role when people are not dedicated to the cause. I am dedicated to my marriage. Now I have certain principles. These where people get it wrong is like, oh, you are dedicated. Does it mean if your wife does something? I have principles. There are principles that will turn me, and I would say, okay, once you cross this line, there are certain things I would no more engage with. I cannot be in the relationship. Yes, I have my principles, but I am dedicated to someone because I know the person is as much dedicated to me through the person's action, because I understand the person, because I understand the language, because I paid attention. And we have what we call effective communication. Effective communication is not because we talk 24 hours a day. It is basically because we understand each other love language and language. Action based language, verbal based language, and action based language. If I'm coming back from the place of work and my wife is outside, or my children are outside, I might just hug them and I just walk away. She knows that whenever I hug them and I just walk away, there's a reason. There's a reason behind it. And the reason is basically because I know the environment where I find myself. And based on the environment I find myself, I like to give people a different perception. And ever since I've been married with my wife, nobody has ever come to talk to us about our marriage. We know how we have our issues, and we know how we resolve our issues. But the problem of the world is this. One thing has failed, and this is the reason why most marriages break today. And I will just hit on this and we round up for today. One of the reasons why marriage fail, I'm going to bring out maybe 2 points. One of the reasons why marriage fail, somebody said, Max implies. You said, hi, remember me. I can't remember you. I'm sorry. Gaylo, I can't remember. I'm sorry. But for you to be a member, maybe part of the things that Rusty did the other time, I can't actually remember, but you can remind me. Now, things that break marriage. Number one, lack of dedication to the marriage. And number two, we have forgotten that the only reason why African marriage are always successful, sorry, let me retract that statement. The reason why many Africans relationship are successful, not all, why many African marriage are successful is basically because they have grown-ups in the family, they have counselors between the father and the mother from the woman, and they have counselors between the father and the mother of the man. Counsel simply means when you get information from the right sources to the things that you are trying to achieve, it makes your life easy. Counsel from the right sources of the people who have been there before and they've been able to succeed, it makes your journey easier. In today's world, one of the things that is wrong when I look into the Western things that are going on, and it's also affecting us also in Africa, but one of the things that I observe is this: most people do not pay attention anymore, or are interested in paying attention to the people who have successfully done something. Like a lot of us who claim that we want to be rich, we are not listening to people who have been able to work and become successful. We are only listening to celebrities. The same way, those of us who are saying we want to get married, we are not listening to those people who have successfully been in marriage for a long time. We are listening to celebrity couples. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rihanna, P. Diddy. And then if those are your role model, You see the answer you have. You see the answer in the society, because whatever people look up to determines the result of their life. Whatever people look up to determines the result of their life. If you worship the devil, you will act like the devil. If you truly worship God, you will act like an angel. The problem is a lot of people worship their pastors, worship the society, worship their religious belief, and they do not even understand things. That for me to worship God is not about my pastor, it's about me following through the spiritual path by doing the duties my own. And I do not have to look at these individuals. I have to look at those who have successfully done certain things, and I have to follow through those principles of those who have been successful to be able to do it. There are some principles that are static, and there are some principles that are dynamic. I focus on most of the principles that are static, that does not change with time. And then for the principles that are dynamic, I know which one can change and which one cannot change. Some people always talk about love. Love cannot exist without understanding. It is when you understand people, that is when you can love them. Some people say the only thing that matters in relationship, for you to be married in somebody, for you to have a successful marriage, you just have to love each other. Love anatukwa container, love anatwaya. Love does not help in relationship. Understanding is what establishes love. If you understand somebody, it is easy for you to love who you understand than to love who you don't understand, because the person you love and you don't understand is just a stranger. And a stranger comes with magic. And when you don't understand a stranger and you're looking at the magic, when you understand the magic, you will be disappointed. And that is the problem of today's society. Effective communication is not the amount of words you say to your spouse, but the amount of understanding you have about your spouse. You are with somebody, you are not paying attention to that person, watching that person, watching not because you are looking for a mistake, but watching how that person think, how that person requests for things, how that person's mind works. That is understanding. If you disagree with me, please raise your hands up and give me some thumbs up. If you did not, write on the comment section. We are rounding up for today. Questions and answers are related. You have any question? You have any answer? You have any contribution? You disagree? Write on the comment section. Oh. Today Rusty is not live. My brother Rusty. Please, is there any question? Is there any comments? Is there anything I've said that you disagree with? Tell me something I don't know. Is there anything I've said that you disagree with? Please let me know. Are you there? I can see that we have 4 people joining me. What do you think? I'm giving about 1 minute or 2 minutes. If there is no question, then I close for the day. But if there is, I would like to still proceed and give an answer or an insight to whatever question is in your mind. So feel free to be able to ask any question. Oh, my brain is counting. My brain is counting. I am Max Gello. Max Gello. I'm sorry. It's been a while. I've forgotten who is Max Gello. Forgive me. So, with that being said, if there is no question, tomorrow is Friday. People are always busy. I'll be live around maybe 8 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, I should be live 8 p.m. tomorrow. Maybe for just a brief talk. Check on you guys, have little conversation. If there's any question you have that is bothering you or something you want us to talk about, please feel free to talk about it. Tomorrow by 8 p.m., just feel free to talk to me. Babu Wahala. But for everything I've discussed today, if you have any question and you can get it, please, you can still comment on the comment section after I hang up for today. Have a great night. At the end of the day, say what builds a society is actually family. Everyone who talks about family is not important or family is not the greatest thing that humans have, just understand that without family you wouldn't have even existed in the you see the union between people is what makes marriage, or that's what gives us the balanced way of thinking. If there is no genuine understanding between two people and you come to life, you might have a lot of drama that you might not be able to phantom in your life. So there's an importance of marriage, there's an importance of union, there's an importance of love, there's an importance of understanding. Do not joke with any of these things because they play a part to human flourishing. With that being said, take care of yourself, reflect on your life. If you have not been able to get marriage right in the first time, maybe you have been married and you thought you were going to get certain things right and you didn't get it right in the first place, forgive yourself. But if you think that you still want to proceed, maybe you want children, you want to have a good family, think about everything I've said. If there are other things that are, you know, hindering you from being able to flourish, um, you can always ask questions. It is through advice and ideas and counsel that's how we are able to succeed as humans. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, like and share. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Adios, amigos. Bye bye for now.